like me, I'm always looking for easier ways to find the product that I'm searching for when new releases drop. Well, I found out that you could go on Drip Shop Live and just look up a stream. Look how easy it actually is. So you just open the app, and then you see all of these streams that you can just join into and start to buy it from. So there's tons of collectibles live all the time. They have auctions, they have shopping, they have everything that you need for a full one-stop shop for collectibles. So go and join now. The community is literally the best.
What is going on? Welcome to a very special episode of Nerdtooine and a Movie Podcast. I am your host. I have a very, very special guest with me. You've probably seen his artwork and didn't even know who it was because most people don't care about artwork, who the artist is, but I do. So here we are today with a very, very talented artist. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Joseph? Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that. I was not privy to what was going to be shown, so that to me was absolutely hilarious. I was, okay. So welcome everyone. Though this is a very interesting time. We have a lot of great things that have happened in the nerd community since the pandemic kicked in, and one of those was the creation of a great selling platform, which I have the pleasure of working with, Drip. And we're very lucky to have the head of community and content for Drip Shop Live here with us today to have a little conversation about what Drip is. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Definitely interesting to always see yourself on video, though.
Oh, welcome in Wolverine's Comic Shop. Ebony Keys, thank you for joining us today. So to start off, I want to know, could you describe what Drip Shop Live is and how it kind of got its start?
Yeah, so Drip Shop Live, easily put, is kind of like Twitch meets eBay for collectibles, right? It's like you really are putting forward your best production value videos, that real community experience, and marrying it with the e-commerce auction buy it now space. So that's really like the summation of what we're talking about is like you're creating a true community for buyers and sellers to converse and commerce. So it's a lot of fun to be a part of. But the way that it started was Javon, our founder, started getting back into collecting during the pandemic. He ended up in some Facebook groups that were selling Pokemon cards. He actually joined into one or two of those breaks. He still has the Dragonite that he bought from Henny Kenny, who's now a streamer on our platform, who he chased and really tried to get to join our platform super early on. But he just saw the problems that people inside of Facebook groups were experiencing with e-commerce. It's like you're sending people to another website, then they have to create an account there. It's not seamless across all of the different Facebook groups you're a part of. It's a really big lag time between the video and the Facebook group. You don't have a clear way to do tracking. You have to finish the transaction inside of a chat message. It was just a mess for the user experience. And he's like, I can create something better with my co-founder. So that's what they did. They went out to create a seamless solution for the user experience for people who are buying inside of Facebook groups. However, it also tends to be the same experience you see selling on YouTube and Twitch and even on TikTok, where you're sending people to a different website and then having to manage that shipping process and everything that's going on in just a less than ideal manner. So Drip is there to provide that software to make it as seamless and easy as possible so that the creators and the sellers can focus on what they're really good at. That's educating and telling people about the products that they love.
That actually segues into my next question. What sets Drip apart from all the other selling platforms? Because, let's be honest, there's a lot of other platforms that are doing a lot of different things that are maybe, let's just say, questionable. And it's hard for some people to trust a new platform. So, besides the community growth, we'll get to that in a second, but what about the platform itself sets it apart from the other competitors, quote unquote?
Yeah, no, there's definitely no lie. There's juggernauts in the space, and juggernaut's a great term to use in this aspect because of how we're viewing them. But with that, Drip is different because we want you to grow your business and we want to help you grow your business. And the way that we do that is we enable you to simulcast to all of your social platforms. We don't want you to just be big on Drip. We want you to be big everywhere. It's like have that true sense of community on all of the social media platforms that you're on, because that's how your users stay in the know. That's how your
Yep.
users know what you're selling, what you've got going on. That's how, if you're not promoting, how are you getting people to know just how big of an event you're actually putting on? So that simulcasting function means that you can be where your users already are rather than having to bring them over to the other platform. Do they have to make the purchase on the platform?
Yep.
Absolutely. However, we also have a drip player you can install on your website. People can actually shop directly from the site, from your site on Drip without ever leaving your website, which is a huge benefit for like brick and mortar shops and different things that have that established traffic already going to the shop and they want to elevate with that live streaming experience. We also have every purchase made over $25 is free shipping. It's something that we believe in the space because we know just how much people really like free shipping. We want to be able to
Yep.
provide that. And then we also make sure we're vetting all of the people who come onto the platform. We do at least a 15-minute interview with every single seller who comes onto the platform because we want to identify, is this somebody who actually knows the stuff that they're selling,
Yep.
as well as are they somebody who really cares about the space and isn't, exhibiting any of those scammer signs. But on the back end of that, we also have an amazing customer service team. If a package gets lost, we work with the customer to submit the claim to get that package reimbursed to them, as well as being able to take care of a customer when something goes wrong. Because we want to make sure that we're saving customers as much as possible so that they keep coming back not only for our business but for yours. And we know how hard it is to sometimes deal with all of those different customer service complaints. Like if an $800 package gets lost in the mail, what are you going to do? We're here to help with those situations.
Yeah, and it's not a it's a known fact that I am a very big supporter of Drip. I love the platform myself. I you know the thing about for me Drip and what ties into everything I'm talking about today, it's the community. Like you said, like I have helped interview a lot of those people before they even get to the Drip team, at least on the comic side, because there is a problem with people like that are scammers and that might not know, they're just trying to make a quick buck. I've said this time and time again, there's money to make in this space. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm making money doing it. But it comes from a place of love of the material and love of the community. Like it's and I find that's what sets Drip apart
I mean,
more than just about anything else.
that's our entire mission,
Yeah.
right? Like our mission is to empower people to earn a living from selling the products that they are passionate about selling and participating in, right? Like we want to make sure people are passionate about what they're selling. Um, and with that, our CEO is an immigrant from Jamaica. And so, like, he just wants to help as many people as possible create that on ramp to the American dream. Like, he wants to make an impact in as many lives as he possibly can. And creating a software that enables people to do that was his solution for being able to assist in that method.
Well, like I said, I've said it numerous times. I feel like Drip is leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of other platforms, in regards like that streaming option. There are people that don't even realize that while you're on Drip, you can be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all simulcast from your seller platform. It's other apps. You're literally getting like a second and third phone, setting it up just to go live on the other platforms. Where Drip, it's like, oh, we got you. Just log in.
Yeah,
We
I
got
mean,
it.
not
It's
only
fine.
that, but then we try to help out and give you guys more audience, right? So it's like if we have Facebook groups that are in the space you're selling, you can simulcast into those Facebook groups of 50 to 60,000. We also give you the opportunity to possibly try out TikTok live streaming on our platform that has 50 plus thousand users, right? Which we just unlocked that OBS streaming so we can stream our whole website to it. Um, it's
Yes.
just it's like we're constantly trying to make it so that not only are you exposed to new consumers, but that we're doing everything that we can to help make that happen.
No, and it's very clear that the drip team cares about not only the sellers but the buyers as well. I mean, I've there's when they have monthly like Q&As with the CEO. I mean, you can't get that at any other company, and like it's all about building a community, building the trust, and showing that this is a platform that we can all just grow with. And to segue with that, are there any future big plans for Drip and the comics division per se?
I mean, so as you're talking about community, right? Like we are customer obsessed, but we're also super streamer first. So everything that we do goes through that lens of making sure that we're creating the best buying experience for our sellers and for our customers. And so with that, we're open to feedback always. Right. So if you've got big ideas, like what's different in the comic space, and you think like an app should develop this feature, we're 100% down to hear it. Right. And that's the thing is right now we're really exploring what all the limits we can push inside of these growing newer categories that aren't trading
Mhm,
cards look like, right? And so, right now we're working on partnerships with some of the biggest names in grading so that we can help, facilitate those conversations with smaller comic sellers or trading card sellers that would never have those opportunities. We're definitely working on how we can continue to promote the comic space with campaigns because it's just such a different space. So trading cards, we're talking about releases, right?
mhm.
With a comic, there's not as there is hype around comic releases, but there's just so many of them happening. It's more like how can we create these really cohesive, curated experiences for our customers to come and participate in, like 3 days of different events or a 24-hour everybody rating into each other event. There's just these different experiences, and we're working really closely with people inside of the space to test out these different campaigns and have fun. It's like if you think a customer is going to love something, bring the idea to us. Let's see what it's like. And as a customer, you get to see all of these different things that are being tried and the experiences that are happening. So we're definitely looking to bring in more people who are doing mystery bags and singles and auctions and graded comics and just continue to
Yep.
see what this space can bring to the platform because it is so unique and we want to treat it as such.
No, I mean, I've been a collector of pretty much everything my whole life. I mean, I've got Beanie Babies. Okay, like if Beanie Babies ever come back, I'm gonna be a multi. I have 3 Princess Di Bears. Let's go. Okay, I'm not kidding. If it ever comes back, I am retiring. Um,
I mean, you have to have the right one.
I, I've got 3 of them.
Okay.
um, and others, but comics is very different because, as you said, it's all about releases. But the interesting thing about comics, at least in my opinion, is that you can kind of just create one and just decide like you can just do it like literally just do a convention and something like this online that we could work in Drip. I mean, we could literally have the next one and be just a full seamless transition through all of it. I mean, I'm sure you can get more than just comics, but I mean, I I love the platform, and everyone knows I talk about it left, right, and center, and I wanted to just bring. I knew there was a lot of people that were going to come in here and that wouldn't maybe know about it, and I wanted to make sure that they were informed about the awesomeness that is Drip.
Well, I am so excited to have so many people sharing the awesomeness that is Drip. We work really hard to create that experience that founders the evangelism of it. Like we want to make sure we're providing those really great experiences for both the sellers and the customers. So we're happy that it's working for us, but it's definitely all about these experiences and having these conversations that make it so that more people can know what exists, but we also want to protect what exists. So
Oh, and Drip is kind of like Wakanda. Believe me, I know. We don't necessarily want everyone to know how to get there, but
but That's the thing
um,
is like there's so many different vibes. Like if you want to be
yeah.
yelled at in a stream, there's streams that'll yell at you. If you want to be whispered to, there's streams that'll whisper to you, right? Like you get to go in and check out and figure out what your vibe. The thing we find most is people are generally gravitating towards specific experiences. So are you more of an auction person? Are you more of a buy it now person? Are you more of a game person? And we're working on making those experiences easier to discover on our website so that you can match with the right experience and then with the right category and with the right streamer because those are the things that really matter to the customers.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I really appreciate you taking the time today to come talk about drip with us. Um, it's like I said, anyone who has any questions, I am always available. And you can ask any of the sellers that are on drip right now. They'll message me at 3 a.m. I'm like, what? Hold on. Yeah, this is how you do that, bro. Like, I'm more than my goal is to help build the drip community because I see the potential and I see where it could go, and I'm doing everything in my power to help get it there.
Well, I appreciate that. But also remember, we do have support individuals there for those 3 a.m. calls and those 3 a.m. texts so that no matter what time you're on, you should have support as well. But I'm glad
Yeah,
that they feel comfortable enough to come to you because that's not something you'll see on every platform is going streamer to streamer and even asking for advice.
yeah. I've been since day one. Open door policy. You ever need anything? You got any questions? I'm here for you. But again, I really appreciate you taking the time out. And I'm hoping that we can get more people on drip soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I don't. You're in the background, sir. There. Aha! Here he comes. The ghost
I,
has reappeared.
I have arrived. I've come back to haunt each and every one of you post Halloween.
Uh,
Thank you so much. That was so great. I'm sure the pre-video that I showed, it showed everything
yeah.
organic and beautiful about what you talked about. I'm looking forward to working with Drip in the future as well. And hopefully hosting more of these with Drip in mind as well, just to kind of get people invited into the platform, or maybe as a hidden treasure, right? Nerdtooine,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying? It's a hidden treasure. We don't want everybody to know. But thank you so much, and we appreciate you spending a Saturday with us, giving us the deets and providing us with all of the goodness. So, and I see everyone's kind of giving all types of reactions to your presentation. So, thank you so much. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, check us out on all social media platforms as dripshop.live. And if you want to apply, it's right there at the top of the website. So we're
cool,
open for as many people as want to join in as will apply, and then we'll go through that vetting process.
cool. There were two questions. I don't know if
Yeah.
we answered them on there. When will we get a comics on drip.live? And then the other question was, as a seller on Drip, who is the main contact over the comic department? I think those were kind of answered, sort of, kind of, right?
Yeah, so the main person over Comics on Drip is the account manager responsible for it. Outside of that, I'm definitely probably the most knowledgeable. I'm the one who runs all of the marketing campaigns for it. So with that, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for somebody on more seller side, you're talking about Colin. If you're looking for somebody who's more marketing side, you're probably talking to me. And then if we're talking about comics.dripshop.live, we haven't really considered doing the preface before the URL, but it's something I can definitely take to engineering and see if that's an option. The way that we organize our website is by categories. So there is a comics category, which we have thousands of followers of that get notifications and um,
I believe it's eight
conversations.
thousand.
Yeah.
I think I looked yesterday, and I think it said it was 8,000 followers.
So 8,000
Yeah.
people
Wow.
are possible to be notified when there's big events going on. So at this point, we're just still growing, and
Yeah.
it's just a fun time to be a part of the space.
Definitely, definitely. Cool. Well, thank you so much. You can hang out with us if you want to. You can pop off, and it's fine. You can hang out and listen to Nerdtooine talk about his next phase in the history of comic books and his goals of becoming one day a billionaire with his exclusives. So I think that's what he's aiming for anyway.
Well,
But
it's more of a total package type deal. There isn't one
gotcha.
way to get to the top. You have to have multiple routes that you're covering. So, like
I
for
gotcha.
me, I know we it's funny. A lot of the people today have been mentioning the same thing I always talk about: the pandemic. Now, the pandemic for me, it kind of like saved my life a little bit. You know that song "Numb Little Bug"? I just trying to survive. That's all I was doing. I was going from day to day. I'm like, this is the next 40 years of my life. How am I going to do this? And then the pandemic hit and we were all sent home. And then I kind of just created this. I mean, it's me, but I mean, I created this persona, this image, Nerdtooine, and I started, selling comics. I started, interviewing people in the space like, Javon Jordan, Ariane and Dito, the writers for The Good Boy, and just little by little gaining respect, talking with the community, getting an understanding and gaining everyone's trust. I've now become this respected member of the community 3 years later, and I'm selling on Drip, and I know, and that's one of the reasons why I brought him in, because it's all a whole compass thing. It all goes in together. It's all one big community that I'm trying to help build and build myself. As you mentioned, I do have my first ever shared exclusive coming out at the end of the month. Pre-orders are now available through Drip. The link is in my shop, or the booth, whatever you want to, however you want to consider the wording. I think it's booth. It's an Ivan Tao super limited exclusive. There's 4 sellers that are selling them. We have 60 total metals. We have 250 virgins and 100 total chrome. That's it over the 4 sellers. And it's just, it's actually, we talk about the, homage, you talk about the hip hop homage. Our cover is actually an homage to Wolverine Origins 10, the first appearance of Dakin, because it's the first appearance of a character. It's a funny story because initially we were supposed to get this cover as the ash can for volume 3. And then after, like, they were like, well, what are your ideas for the cover? Make Wolverine short again. Exactly. One of the, and I was like, can we get any information? And they, gave us a little insight. And I was like, why don't we do this cover? Once Garrett Gunn, the writer and who does all of the, exclusive stuff, found out about it, he was like, actually, can we make that for issue 1 instead? We're like, yes, sure. I would very much love that. And that was actually something that was mentioned earlier about just having a whole bunch of exclusives just for the sake of having exclusives. This is actually a key. So it would deserve multiple exclusives. Like, I'm a very much believer that exclusives are great for the industry because it brings, as they were saying earlier, it brings so many people into the space that wouldn't normally be there. The artists, the creators, all that can't be done without hundreds of exclusives. But it has to come from the love of the characters and love of the medium. And that's what I feel like I'm doing with not only selling on Drip, and I do like almost like a podcast style flow on my shows where I sit there, we just talk. And then if I have a specific topic I'm going to talk about, I usually bring books associated with that. Just so it's like, hey, if you want to know about this, here's the book you need for it. And I always say knowledge is power. Knowledge absolutely is power. And I want my followers, my community, whatever you want to call friends, more likely is the more appropriate name for everyone. I want them to be as knowledgeable as possible because that means they're the strongest army there is. Because one thing you can't take is someone's mind. One, like, you can throw them in jail, you can take away their freedoms, but their mind's going to be there. What they've learned, what they know, you can't go anywhere. So that's why I try to teach to all the people who listen to my podcast, who come into my shows, who will hopefully eventually read my book, which we'll get to in a second eventually. That we all just, it's funny, like conversations. I actually got into like a not even a war, but like a whole bunch of comments on one of my friends' pages on TikTok. And was like, I want to make sure you don't feel like you're getting attacked. I'm like, listen, first of all, I'm a Jew from the Bronx. I'm good. But a healthy discussion is only good. Like all it can do is either spread awareness about an issue or breed knowledge. That's it. So it's always open. That's why I always say anyone that has any questions. I am an open book. You got a question about anything, what I'm writing, what I'm doing. Come on. I'm here. I have no problem with it. And that was the love of the medium. And like I started realizing I could sell when I made a flip on a first appearance of White Vision. Before WandaVision started, I bought that book for $5. And then he showed up in that show, and then it instantly turned into a $75 book. And I was like, wait a minute. I could do this. Like when you have a lot of knowledge about something, and now, as I say all the time, the nerds won. You can always use that platform to educate and profit if you do it in the right way. I mean, like I've seen people charge $30, $40, $50 for Virgin cover just because they want to. I mean, the Virgin cover that I have coming out at the end of the month is limited to 250, and we're charging $19.99. Like across all four of the sellers. Which I feel is under what most people would try to charge for that. We're not trying to, become millionaires off of one exclusive. That's what I'm saying. We look holistically at everything. But when it comes to creating stuff, especially creating a comic book, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I decided to write this book, I interviewed a comic book writer named Jason Douglas. I interviewed him a few times, and then after reading his now Ringo Award nominated book, Parallel, I took it upon myself. I said, I was writing a zombie novel for like 10 years, and I just got tired of writing it. So I now am taking all that 10 years of work and adapting it into a comic book. And my Ashcan script is with my artist right now. And I am a huge fan of people who take pride and focus on specific little tiny details. My comic is going to be so plot hole, like there will be no plot holes. I'm going to like beg people, find one. I dare you. You'll find more
put
Easter
up
eggs.
$1 million. Just put
than-
up $1 million.
Okay, dude, if I had $1 million, do you think I would already the book would already be in production? We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. How it's in production, sir.
And $1 million would be so much incentive. People, if
Listen,
they'd be like, I'm going to find it.
Hey, you know what, my friend? How about you put up the $1 million?
It's not my book. I don't know if you knew that.
See. Now here we are. No, but it's the story is going to be, as my artist says. He says it's a human story set in a zombie apocalypse. And I wrote the first 10 pages, and then toiled over them and changed them, and I've probably edited that thing about 300-400 times at this point. It's 10 pages, that's it, and I've just gone through and redone it probably 300 times. And that's something I didn't know when I first set out, because I've been telling people I'm making this comic for like a year and a half now, and people are starting to be like, hey bro, you said the comic was coming out. Listen, I've been working as hard as I can, okay? But I've now, the first few pages are in. I've already promoted the first page. And I just got, he's working on the and it's really interesting working with, and we talk about the pandemic, you never would have been able to, or even thought to meet people around the world. Like my artist is from Canada. I just followed his work and one day was like, hey man, any chance you ever wanted to make a comic book? He's like, dude, that's been literally my dream since I was like 3 years old. What's the story? And I told him initially zombies, and he was like, all right, cool. Let's take a look at it. And I could feel that over the message. And then once I sent him my initial, because I had the novel, I had about 40, 50 pages of the book, like edited, ready to go, done. I was like, here, read this. This is the story I'm telling. I'm just gonna retool it for a comic. And he was like, dude, this is a human story set in a zombie apocalypse, and it feels like Ready Player One because I had it set in our world, as in we just finished watching The Walking Dead, and now there's a zombie apocalypse outside. Like, so it's got that norm that like, and it's gonna be focused on like a nerd who is, and I talk about representation all the time, who is short like me. You can argue that it is me, but whatever. You know, and I purposely haven't said the name of the character because I want that to be a big reveal, but I think I just spoiled it and whatever. But whatever. But it's about this character who has gone through hell and back and still has hell to get through to get to heaven. That's basically how it is. Like, 'cause it's this character who's just been tormented his whole life. Like, cause it's about, I want to express how far the human race could fall if society wasn't telling them how to act. Because, and I'm using the zombie apocalypse as the catalyst for that. Because I feel like most people, unfortunately, are pretty horrible and would be basically monsters if they weren't constantly worrying about going to jail or what people might think or society's implications on what they're doing. So I feel that I can dig deep into the psychological aspect of being able to truly do what you want. Like, I think all of us have had a bad day at work when our boss is yelling at us or something. We're just thinking, oh, I'm going to take this keyboard and I'm going to smash it over your head. But you're smiling the whole time. You're just thinking that. In the world where there is no society to tell you can't do that, what will stop you?
How many times did you watch Wanted? That same exact scene you just replayed over and over.
I love that scene because when I see that, I'm watching it going, that is one of the first times I've seen in entertainment where the character got to just rip into the boss and hit the dude in the face. And the panel right after the end of my ash can, a little secret here, is going to be a mental vision of something like that. Because the character gets questions, why do you seem to be enjoying yourself when you're killing zombies? Well, because back in the day, if I got angry, I had to bottle it up. Now I can just hit things. And this is the good guy, the main character. That's just going to be uber violent. It's like if Moon Knight decided to be in a zombie apocalypse, basically. That's like I've been trying to wrap my head on around how the character in my head is portrayed. That's what it is, because like at some point the character is gonna admit that he's in a comic book, and you're actually gonna look. He's gonna look at the panel, and it hasn't even been drawn yet, but looks at the panel and like says, "Because we're in a comic book, someone's reading this right now." And then the other main character looks at him, and then the next panel is just a wall. As in the character staring at a wall. It's not really a fourth wall break, but he's losing it because society isn't keeping him rein. So his brain is, and everything he thought he just does it now. Like, instead of worrying what someone's gonna, is he talking to the wall? Is he pretending he's in a comic? I mean, like, all that stuff would be like folly right now. Like, if you went to work tomorrow and was like, man, this is a really hard day at work, don't you think? And you're looking at the wall, everyone's gonna be like, can we Baker Act him? Like, we need to I think he's a danger to himself and his friends and everyone else. Like, but in a world without society, you can do that. And I feel like
I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to do two things. I think we will get into it as well. What's the difference between having your shared exclusive, versus and kind of compare and contrast the actual book that you're going to be producing solo dolo, right? Like, you're doing two things differently. What's that experience, and what's the difference between those two?
Well, so now in the situation when it comes to the exclusive that I'm bringing, it's a shared exclusive, and it's not a drip exclusive, but mine are only available. My copies are only available on drip. I'm doing it all exclusively through the drip servers and everything. So for me, it's my exclusively on drip. Now, if drip were to say get into the exclusive game where it's an actual drip exclusive, literally hashtag drip exclusive, and anyone who has a drip exclusive, boom, right there, right into those pages. And I honestly, with the right people who know, like, the who are already doing their own exclusives, to just make a new exclusive, I mean, we got one done and paid and ready to go in like a month and a half, all paid up. If we all sell out, we're looking at like $3,000 profit each. Like that's if we all sell, that's each one of us. That's like around 3 times what the each person's initial investment was. So now when it comes to original content like my comic book, it would be maybe, and now there are platforms that are doing publishing and stuff like that, but again, it could also be another thing where it's only exclusively on drip, that'd be something that could be a draw, because if it becomes big, this is The Walking Dead ain't around no more. I'm coming for that spot. And I know how cocky and how absolutely, like, pig-headed that sounds, but I'm coming for that spot. So who knows what could happen? But if you're talking about, like, to get people into, like, because there are numerous people who are writing, like, I know of at least 2 other people who are on drip right now who are also writing books, and a few people who are in the process of getting on drip that are writing books. So not for nothing, but a publishing house with drip exclusives, I mean, that is something that other platforms have done. I think it's a little bit of a conflict of interest, to be personally honest. But when you, if as long as it's going into comic book shops as well, then it's not a conflict of interest per se, but it does begin to teeter on that line, because of course, if it's, let's say, a drip publishing exclusive, that's going to get pushed. Drip wants their money back, as they should, on an investment, so then you're walking that line. But when it's exclusives and it's done through, say, like a small printing press like Source Point, that's different, because yes, that is just a product that you got basically on loan, I guess, because you get that cover that you're allowed to sell. That's a little bit different than, say, like an actual having the company you're selling for printing the book you're writing. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the other platform, Whatnot, has books out. I picked one up just because I'm like, okay, it's in the comic shop. I support my LCS. Let me give this a shot. Whatever. But as long as it's in the shops, it's not a conflict of interest, really. But it will breed the same issues that that platform has. And I say this, people, this is not new knowledge, is that the bigger people who are part of that exclusive crew, or whatever you want to call it, they'll get their promotion, they'll make their money, and everyone else will suffer behind them. Because the normal sellers, or someone like me, who I don't consider myself a normal seller, but I don't have a giant platform besides, like, my Marvel account, which is, global. It's not really something that, like, if I post anything not Marvel on that account, I get, like, flamed in the comments, like, what happened to this account? It was all Marvel. I don't understand. Oh my god. Okay, fine. But it's when it comes to the exclusives, as long as everyone's available and able to, like, do it. Like, if you say, and that's something Drip has done exceptionally well, is, with an ambassador program, with all the things that they offer, as long as you can maintain their requirements, you can use it. Like, and that's, I feel, like, something along the lines with exclusives that could work very well, because the initial investment will come back from the sellers, and then the sellers will take on the responsibility of selling the books. And then something like that would be fairly easy. I mean, it's my first exclusive ever, and it's been seamless. Like, I was literally told, here, all right, we're gonna do this. Artist turns it in. Here's when the fee is. Boom, do it. And I'm just waiting on it to come in now. And it's the whole process was daunting at first, but after doing it one time, honestly, it's really not that hard. CCJ, thank you for stopping by. I am not the man. That's a derogatory term in some places. Okay, just saying. I ain't trying to keep no one down. All right. But like, and that's the thing where I tried to get with exclusives with the other platform, and I was told that they weren't doing any, even though I knew that wasn't true. If you want to say there's a specific reason why I can't get it, fine. But I feel like as long as it's available to everyone, as long as you can meet the requirements, that could be something that would be a game changer. That would bring a lot of quote unquote smaller sellers. I mean, I know sellers that have brought in revenue of close to $1 million in the last year that want to get on the platform. You know what I mean? Like that's like that we're in talks to get them on the platform. And it's a great time. It's a great time to be a part of the start of something great. And I've been saying it and everything comes full circle. It's all about the community. And I feel like between the drip community and the Instagram community, the comics division as a whole is just leaps and bounds better than most of the other fandoms that I've been associated with in my life. Like this, for the most part, comics, it's like we all want each other to succeed. We would never try to stop someone shine in the majority of cases. But it's been a journey for me from being a normal Joe to writing for the Cultured Nerd to creating my own podcast, interviewing celebrities. I mean, I interviewed Ken Jeong. Like, I have a video asking him questions. Like, I've interviewed oh man, sings the Pokemon theme song. I'm drawing a blank of his name. Jason, I can't think of his last name, but just all these people I've got a chance to meet now because of the pandemic and becoming this part of this great community. And the longer I get in it, the happier I am, to be honest. The more connections I make, the more like let's be honest, man. I'm at a virtual convention on a Saturday talking about comics. You know how happy I am right now? Like, like that wouldn't have happened 3 years ago. I would have been just sitting here playing PS4 or PS3, I guess, back then or whatever. But just like, all right, I got another day and a half before I have to go back to hell. You know what I mean? And now I look forward to the weekends because I can work on my projects, whether it's the getting an exclusive together or getting a comic book written and stuff. I mean, all the things that I do now, it just adds so much to my life. And I hope that anyone who's watching this or watches this later, if you got a passion, I don't care what anyone says, go for it. I mean, don't be stupid. Don't get me wrong. Don't just quit your job and like run off to join the circus. You know what I mean? That's your passion. You do you, boo boo. I'm not gonna, stop anyone from being there who they want to be. But I mean, I have a full time.
Nerdtooine told us to. No, I'm kidding.
Listen, I have a full time. I work 40 hours a week, and I do everything else at night and on the weekend. You know what I mean? I'm working like 80, 90 hours a week. So it's something that you can do if you have a passion for it, as long as it doesn't, risk your safety, your roof, or any of that stuff. Do it.
Well, I agree with you. I think this is one of the reasons why, particularly the virtual conference, I wanted folks to actually interact with folks that don't typically get that on a daily basis. We're all, I always think about this. I feel like I'm living my childhood dream as an adult, being able to, because this is where I was headed, right? In my mind, I was going to be working, doing comic books and illustrating and doing all this. And now I'm sort of kind of doing that in my own way, in my own mode, which is really cool. And just to be able, this con was created based off of community. And now look where we are on a Saturday, like you said, talking to some amazing folks and actually getting knowledge dropped in a way that is going to hopefully sink in, or it'll just settle in there until you're ready to access it when you're ready. Because it does take some courage. I mean, it takes a lot of courage. I mean, I work just like you, 40 hours a week plus. that's my regular job, but then I also do other things, right? So,
Yeah.
and on top of that, you have to balance that with the friendships and relationships you have, the ones that are virtual and the ones that are in person, and the family lives and all that good stuff. So,
I like my virtual relationships a lot better than a lot of my in person. Just for the record, I purposely have very few of the in person ones. I've got a lot of friends online though. I'm kind of a big deal in some corners of the internet. Just saying.
well, I wanted to thank you for kind of juxtaposing the two ways and entry points. I think those are attractive qualities. I mean, there's plus and minuses for both of them, but to have hopefully some conversations as drip becomes a lot more expansive and really it involves themselves in kind of like the comic book world. I think it's just going to be that much better. We did have a question though by Tempos, if Tempos is still here, and I'll put it on the stage. And he was asking about, because he is going to be selling. He's going on Drip. He's actually getting his interview soon. But he said, "Is there a limit on copyright with music or watching a movie on the background that's allowed?" I guess you'll get that in your orientation.
So with that, the thing is when you're simulcasting to places like Twitch or YouTube that have restrictions on that, that is a risk to your platform and your brand that is up to you if you take. It's like a lot of the things that Drip is about is like enabling you to run your business the way that you would run your business, but providing some of those guidelines. So if you're doing that, we won't simulcast you to our social platforms as much because of the fact that there's a risk to our brand due to the copyrighted music or streaming shows. But you can still do that yourself and take that risk and simulcast to your own platforms. But we often will just like pop streams over to our social media platforms to help get you guys in front of other people as well. So if that's not happening, then we can do that more easily without a risk to our own platforms.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to thank the two of you. I hope y'all had fun. This was really cool. I love this platform. First of all, just want to put that out there. I think we're gonna, I know this is a quarterly thing, but I think getting the community together just on one accord, or at least to get some variety in our daily lives, is going to be really cool. So I don't mind hosting and putting up stuff so that we can kind of get the community together more often. With that said, I'm going to give people a 15-minute break, sort of, kind of, because I'm actually going to do a giveaway next, and we're going to do some more quiz. We're going to do quizzes. And so, if again, Dria, thank you so much. If you want to participate, you can as well. I'm using the program called Crowd Party, and it actually will be doing the Marvel quizzes, and it's really quick. It's really quick and fast, and you get to see a leaderboard on live. So people have their phones out. Make sure you bring your phones out, and there'll be a QR code, and you just basically play on your phone, and you see it right live online. So I'll be doing that in the next couple of minutes. Thank you all. I appreciate you so much. And if you have any questions, Nerdtooine also has a booth in the back of the program, the virtual booth. And so all his information is on there. If you're interested in figuring out what exclusives, how to navigate that, that'd be great. Or even just the process of writing your book and the painstaking greatness of you getting it published. So it's all good and gravy. Either way, you're going to be successful because we are here to make sure that you don't have to start from scratch.